Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? A little early vlog today. Let's see what time it is, shall we? It is currently 3:53 p.m. on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And the current temperature is 84 and mostly cloudy. So it's going in and out. 84 mostly cloudy is what it is. And I have been texting my neighbor because we went to brunch, and then after brunch, Alex wanted to run to Abercrombie because he had like a credit and some gift cards to use, and the credit runs out in like 2 days, so he wanted to make sure that he got to use that before. And the mall was like super packed. I was kind of surprised, honestly. So we were there for like 40 minutes or something at Abercrombie, and he got like 2 hoodies and like a t-shirt or something like that. But anyway, then afterwards we came home. My plan was to go to the pool as soon as I got home, but I was texting my neighbor on the way, and so I was texting her. She's like, yeah, text me as soon as you leave. She was actually at the pool, and she said, I'm leaving the pool now just to break because there are some kids up here that are being really loud and I'm trying to read. She said, but I'd be down to go with you. And then I said, okay, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Then I'm going to head down. And she said, okay, text me when you get back. And then when we came back, I saw, like, when we drove by, our neighbors on the corner were leaving. They were like driving out. And I saw the rafts and stuff. And Alex said, oh, he was like, when I took Boo Radley out at like 10 o'clock this morning, they were headed up to the pool. They asked if we wanted to come. And I said, oh, they went to the pool really early this morning? He was like, yeah. So when I looked down at the pool, there were like 10 people up there. And I know I'm not going to get a lot of sun today, so I just want to go to the pool. And so I was like, well, if there's a lot of people up at the pool right now, if we wait an hour, probably everybody will go for like, you know, they'll leave for dinner, and it's like late for the kids and stuff like that. And so I thought I could vlog first because I'm just filming my vlog today. So I was like, I could vlog first and then render my vlog while I'm gone, and then we could stay up at the pool, you know, as long as I wanted to. And then when I come back, start uploading my vlog, and then take a nap, and then watch some TV and some movies and stuff like that tonight. Alex is getting ready. He started binge watching some Spanish show, so he's real excited about that. So anyway, I said, would you rather grow up now or wait? Hey, how are you? Good, it's good to see you. How's Katie doing? Oh, good. I'll tell Caroline. That's our family friend that knew our moms and stuff like that. It was so funny because the last time that I was walking, because she lives on the other side of the neighborhood, and the last time that I was walking, I like passed her, and it was like, you know, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and she couldn't see me, like, because I was like walking on the other side of the street, and so she was like just outside of her door, and she looked and she was like, Peter? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, she's like, you've been walking a lot, because she sees me whenever I walk by her house. And she was like, yeah. She's like, I always see you. Like, well, I'm just standing by my front door, because I'll just kind of like wave. And she's like, you've been walking a lot lately. I said, yeah, I'm trying to get into shape. And she's like, good for you. And I was like, yeah, there's so many places to walk here. And so anyway, but she walks her dog a lot in the neighborhood. So anyway, and I said, would you rather go up now? Because she said all she needed was a hummus. She said, text me when you head down there and I'll come too. She said, just need some hummus and a popsicle. This was before. And I said, LOL. And then I said, would you rather go up now or wait an hour? And she said, yeah, question mark, you be down with that? She's like, there aren't that many kids up there after that time, so that would probably be better. But sure, I'd like to wait an hour if you could. And I said, yeah, let's do that. Then I can vlog and afterwards just relax and take a nap. And she was like, okay, so we're going to do that. So I am vlogging now. My plan was to go to the pool when we got home and then after the pool vlog. But this actually kind of works out a little bit better because then we can stay at the pool till like, you know, 6 or 7 or whatever. And then when I come back, just like take a nap and get up and watch some TV and all that kind of stuff. And then everything that I wanted to get done for the day will be done. So very excited about that. Yeah, so it's been a good day. Last night was a really fun TV watching night, but very scary. So if you follow my Instagram, over my Instagram, if I'm like watching something new or I think something's good, I usually like post the poster of it. So last night, I'm trying to think of what order I did this in. Did Alex and I watch the Housewives last night? We did. Last night, Alex and I got caught up on Orange County and Dubai. He was watching the Umbrella Academy. And then he finished the last episode of the new season of Umbrella Academy. I had said to him before, I said, do you want to watch The Housewives and get caught up? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so he was like, let me just finish this episode. And so when the episode finished, I said, are you done with the whole season? He's like, yeah, I just finished the season. So I said, okay. So we watched Orange County, and then we watched Dubai, and then I was like, I'm going to lay down, and I'm going to take like a 2-hour nap. I was like, I just want to relax this weekend, and, you know, and whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to take like a 2-hour nap, and I ended up taking like a 2.5-hour nap, but it was fantastic, because I laid down earlier to take my nap. So Alex went upstairs too, and he watched some Spanish movie first. It was like some thriller, I don't know what it was. And I'd asked him, I told him that I watched the movie The Watchers the night before, and I said, you said that you weren't really that interested in watching it. He's like, no, I don't really love scary movies the way that I used to. And I said, okay, well, I want to watch this movie. Why can't I keep on? I want to call it The Descendant, The Arrival. What's this movie called? I asked him if he wanted to see it. I said it's about demon possession. Because actually he does kind of like the horror movies that are about like possession and stuff like that. The Deliverance. Here it is. So I asked him, I said, do you want to watch this movie, The Deliverance? And he said, you know, what's it about? And I said, I don't really know anything about it other than it's about like demonic possession. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that it was based on a true story, but we'll get into that in just a second. I'm actually going to do a whole video covering it because I'm filming earlier in the vlog, earlier in the day. The sun is going to like come in and out of this, but so I said, because he used to love like those paranormal, what are those movies called? Studies or experience movies. He likes the paranormal movies. I don't. Okay, those movies, because I firmly believe in that kind of stuff. There's not really a whole lot that I don't believe in, if you want to know the truth. Like, it's so interesting because when I go through, like, when people ask me, like, you know, like when you're like at a party or something, you get to know someone, they're like, oh, you believe in everything? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you believe in this? I believe in fairies. I believe in Loch Ness Monster. I believe, of course, in aliens. Santa Claus. I believe in... I mean, there's not a whole lot that I can't be convinced about, right? I'll tell you the one that is always surprising to people that I'm just like, I have no interest in whatsoever is Bigfoot. I have no interest in Bigfoot. And I think part of the reason why is... so there was this park that Caroline and we actually drove through. I think I filmed it for a vlog maybe. We drove through and we looked at the pool because the pool's been closed down now for like 3 years. But when we were kids, Caroline and I used to go to this park. There's like, my neighbor across the corner, on the corner, he golfs there. It's called Som Park. It's like 15 minutes from here. And Caroline and I used to go there. I can't remember, we would like go to the pool and stuff with our moms or something. I can't remember why we would go there. But anyway, it's like a public park and they have like a public pool and stuff like that. And so, but I remember one year for Christmas, I got this like plastic, it was like this red, it looked like a cookie cutter, but it was like this big, and it was like a Bigfoot thing, and you were supposed to like not do it in the snow. I think I used it in the snow at first, but you're supposed to do it in the mud, so you could like fake that somebody was like Bigfoot. I think because of that, like, I think that ruined it for me for Bigfoot, and I'm just really, to be honest with you, not that interested in the whole Bigfoot lore. But I have heard that Sasquatch documentary is fantastic. And that's one true crime documentary that I haven't, well, I don't even know if you consider that true crime, but I haven't really watched. But like demonic possession and exorcisms and all that kind of stuff, oh, I 100% believe in that. I 100% believe in that to the point that I don't even like to mess with it. Back in the day when I was like in high school and college and all that kind of stuff, I like loved like the idea of seances. I still love reading books about it and watching movies and stuff, but the idea of seances and Ouija boards and stuff like that. You know, I was sitting here getting ready to say that I probably wouldn't do a Ouija board today. I don't know, I might. Like, it just would kind of depend on the setting. But I had this art teacher when I was like my first year of college, and she was like real hippy dippy, and she really believed in all this stuff, right? And I can remember she told us about, because we were asking her about Ouija boards, and she was like, Okay, so Ouija boards are like where you like summon spirits that just can't come here on their own because they're weak enough and they're like evil entities. So when you are like talking to a Ouija board, you're summoning, this was before like all the Ouija movies and all that stuff. She's like, you're summoning like evil spirits that can't come here on their own. She's like, so you don't want to mess with Ouija boards. And I can remember for a long time after that, like I didn't mess with Ouija boards, but I have at many different times in my life played with Ouija boards, gone to seances, stuff. I love it. I love psychics and mediums, all that kind of stuff. But I do totally believe in demonic possession. I also believe that I really like, when I was so I watched this documentary afterwards last night and was saying prayers in my head while I was watching it. What's interesting about this, well, I'll talk about that in just a second, because that kind of goes along with Fox Hollow Farms and the Herb Baumeister situation. So anyway, I took a nap last night, and then I got up, and I watched an episode of Sister Wives. I'm, like, having to force myself to watch an episode of Sister Wives. It was the episode, Mary and Janelle, they had to sit on the same couch in therapy. It's that episode. I'm, like, slow. I was telling Alex today, he's like, how many seasons do you have left? And I was like, okay, I'm on season 11. I'm almost halfway through. I have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 7.5 seasons. He's like, you think you're going to do that in 2 weeks? I said, oh, 100%. I've got 2 weeks from today to finish 7.5 seasons. It's gonna happen. I don't care if I have to be playing the episodes the whole time, like in the background the whole time. I'm gonna do it. So anyway, I'm like in my head thinking about completely something different. But anyway, so after I watched Sister Wives, I knew I wanted to watch that movie. So I like lit candles and took Boo Radley out because I was like, if it's real scary, I'm not going to want to take Boo Radley outside afterwards. Took him outside, got him settled in bed. Alex was at that point, he was like watching the end of the first episode of this new series that he watched, and then he was getting ready to go to bed. I asked him again, I said, I'm getting ready to watch this movie. Do you want to watch it? He's like, no, I don't want to watch it. He's like, you can watch it. I said, okay. Because usually like with movies, if it's like Marvel movies, he never asks me, DC movies, because I don't love that stuff. It was funny because I was talking about Rainbow Rowell in my video the other day, and somebody said, if you like Rainbow Rowell and you like graphic novels, you should check out. And I thought they were going to say Pumpkinheads, because a couple years ago, she, maybe like 10 years ago now, 5 years ago, she wrote a Halloween graphic novel, and it's called Pumpkinheads, and it's literally to this day one of my favorite graphic novels of life. It's about this guy and this girl that work, I think they're like in college, it's like their last year of college or last year of high school or something, and they work at a pumpkin patch every year for Halloween, like the Halloween season. And it's like the last day of it's like Halloween. It's like the last day of the pumpkin patch that they're ever gonna work at, and like their relationship and stuff like that. It's really sweet, and I love it. And it's called Pumpkinhead. So if you're looking for a new graphic novel, but whoever left the comment, she said, she's done like reinterpretations of like the Marvel things. I've actually seen that she's done that. I've seen that she's done like 5 or 6 of them. And I'll be honest with you, I might be willing to try them since you said that they're good and they're Rainbow Rowell, and I love Rainbow Rowell. Actually, that was Reese Witherspoon's book for last month called Slow Dance or something, and I bought it on Audible and I haven't read it yet. So I've read everything by Rainbow Rowell. There's, other than those Marvel books, I've read, I mean, even like her middle grade stuff, I read everything by Rainbow Rowell. I love her. She's one of my favorite authors of life. But I haven't read those graphic novels, specifically because they're like Marvel reinterpretations or, you know, whatever. And so, but I might be willing to try that. I hear somebody. Oh, my neighbors are coming home. I was like, what do I hear? They've been coming and going a lot. Oh, it's just him. Alex said that he was asking him, he was like, do you have any alcohol that we can borrow for the pool? He was like, because we forgot to go. And Alex is like, no. He was like, I have like a bottle of wine and a bottle of champagne. He's like, that I'm saving. He was like, you're more than welcome to have those. He was like, that's all we have in the whole house. And he's like, you don't have like any like high noons? Or he's like, no, I don't usually keep that stuff in the house. He's like, every once in a blue moon, I'll be like, you know, if I have a couple left over, I'll put them in the fridge or whatever. Alex hasn't done that in a long time. But, so he's like, okay, he's like, I guess I'll just run to the liquor store real quick. Our liquor store's like right up, our liquor store, the liquor store. Well, there's like 2, and they're both like literally 3 minutes driving from up here. Somebody left a comment the other day, and they said, does it bother you when Alex keeps alcohol in the house? I thought it was kind of an interesting comment, because I feel like I've answered that comment so much in so many videos across so many channels talking about Alex and the drinking. For the answer to the question, the easy answer is no. It doesn't bother me when he keeps alcohol in the house. I actually have a lot of friends of mine that have less time than me or more time than me in sobriety that have like full bars in their house. That like if they're, you know, maybe their partner drinks, or, I mean, most of the people that I'm friends with, I have like, I might have like 3 couples that I'm friends with. I mean, I'm talking about that have long-term sobriety that are both sober. Two long-term friends of mine, 2 couples that have long-term sobriety, and 1 couple that they're both, I would say, in not early sobriety, but earlier sobriety, you know, under 10 years. Most of my friends that are sober, their partners are like regular people, like what we call, I hate this word, but people call them normies. And so most of them drink, but aren't alcoholics. And so the majority of people that I know, like, most people, like, Tanya has a fridge in her garage, you know, like Caroline has most people that I know in Indiana, is that like a thing everywhere, not just in the Midwest, but like people keep a fridge in the garage for drinks and stuff like that. And I think like her husband always has like 6-pack of beer out there or something like that. Most of the people I know, well, I've actually gone to some like recovery parties where people will have like a full bar. It's like for entertaining or whatever, you know. So at this point in sobriety, well, I've said this a lot. If I'm craving drinking, it's because I'm not going to say that there's never been like, if Alex has like, you know, a glass of wine or something, if I smell it, it might smell good. Or every once in a while, like when somebody cracks open a beer, I'll be like, oh God, like I miss, you know, cracking open a beer. Or, you know, somebody will have like some kind of fun drink that I've never seen before. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool. But to me, that's different than craving, okay? Like to me, that's almost kind of more romanticizing the drinking. It's more of just kind of like walking by, like, you know, I don't know, like a bakery and seeing like a chocolate cake and being like, oh, it'd be nice to have a piece of chocolate cake, but keep on walking, right? That's not craving to me. Craving to me, having gone through cravings, is like I have to drink or I can't go on. Like I have to have a drink or I cannot go on. Today, to be honest with you, I can't even remember the last time that, I mean, I live pretty much in recovery 24 hours a day. I mean, it's like, you know, I start my day with prayers and meditations in recovery. I end my day with prayers and meditations. I read a lot of literature throughout the day. I mean, we were just at the mall and I was talking to a sober friend of mine. Like, we were talking about some things that were going on in their life. You know, it's like, as I'm like on the phone, you know, like, I mean, I don't know if people, it's because they just like see me sit down and on a vlog and talk about it for like 10 minutes or something, but like it's a huge part of my life every day. Like, you know, Alex will be like, what meetings are you going to this week? Like when we're planning our week for that, I'll be like, do you have any dinners this week? What's your work schedule like? He'll be like, are you going to any meetings? What meetings are you going to? I said this not too long ago, but there's a lot of meetings that I go to that I don't ever like say like tonight's, like, because I do stuff with Tanya and that's like usually like Tuesdays, although it hasn't been Tuesdays lately. But in the past, what's happened is I'll say that and then people will show up at that meeting, and I like to have my anonymity in recovery and be able to have my recovery for myself. And so, I mean, it's nice when people have come up to me and been like, oh, I came to this meeting specifically. I figured out like what meeting that, you know, I was just thinking about my neighbors yesterday that I haven't seen them walk by here in a while, and here they are. Hey, how are you? I was just saying that I haven't seen you guys in a while. Well, we were in Las Vegas, and look who you're walking with. Do you know what she told me? She told me that you guys went to high school together, but she doesn't remember my mom or my aunt from high school at all.
Well, we graduated in 62.
My mom graduated in 61. She knew my mom and my aunt. She was real good friends with them. How are you guys doing today?
You win anything?
I won and I lost.
But did you come out equal?
Did I come out what?
Come out, what did you think in the long run?
Okay, so the last day was our anniversary.
Okay.
I had a bag stolen at the pool. Had my phone, a credit card, AirPods, my favorite hat, and stuff like that. So I had to buy a new phone and all that. So I was down. But then I won that night in the casino. So I don't know. Kind of even, I guess.
At least you won that night at the
I know. At least I won that. That's how I looked at it. But it was fun.
Where'd you stay?
At the Cosmopolitan, because it's where we got married.
Okay. Yeah.
And I came home and the pool's open for another week. So I won on that, too. Look at her just laying down in the street. That's so sweet.
She's eating leaves.
It's beautiful out today, isn't it?
Or pool parties on the 15th.
Is it? What are you bringing?
Me? I'm thinking big bringing me.
She's bringing you.
It's gonna be either red potato salad or another salad.
Okay. What time does it start?
5.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the signs up this week.
Don't you think they should keep the pool open till the annual pool party?
Yeah, but I don't know what the cost on that is.
It doesn't really matter because it's going to be cold next week anyway, so.
Don't say that. I don't want people.
Well, I mean, for a party, it's fine, but not to go to the pool. Yeah, you know what? They gave us an extra week. I'm totally fine with that. I'm getting ready to go up there in about a half an hour. It was good seeing you guys. I was just thinking about them because I was like, you know what? I haven't seen them a whole lot. So I sat out here last night. Okay, did you ever do this where you decide that you're gonna get sad about something? Did you ever do that? Okay, so I was sitting out here last night, and I was like, I think I'm gonna get sad. I mean, I didn't say it like this, but I started getting sad about summer ending, right? And I was like, I mean, I've seen my neighbor across the street a lot, but I haven't seen my neighbor in the corner. And then I thought of them, and I was like, I mean, I used to see them every day, and I was like, I don't sit out here as much as I used to. Like last summer, and the summer before, I just don't sit out here as much. And especially watching TV at night and stuff. I love sitting inside and just sitting in that chair. I love that. Okay, but anyway, I think this is important to understand about alcoholism and things like that and the difference between this. I will say this because when I get questions like this, and I thought it was a good question, I mean, we've gotten this question a lot, so I don't know if this is somebody that's new to my vlog, and maybe that is, but I don't mind, talking about it again. I think it's a good question. Okay, I'm trying to go back and think about my thoughts. So the answer to the question is, does it bother me when Alex has alcohol in the house? No. But those are also discussions that we've had. We've had discussions around, if I would say tomorrow, I don't want any alcohol in the house anymore, he would respect that. If there was something that I was going through, if I was going through a period of time where I was I can't be around it, I can't have it, whatever. I think I've told the story on here. I know I've told the story on here where Alex had gone to the pool with some girlfriends. This was years ago. And there was one beer or 2 beers or something at the bottom of the refrigerator. And I would open the refrigerator every day and it drove me crazy just to see it in there. Right? This was before marriage counseling. This was when I was not doing great, okay, in the world and had no emotional sobriety. And this is why emotional sobriety and spiritual foundation is important in recovery. And I would open that refrigerator every day, and that beer would just piss me off because I just was staring at me. I wanted that beer, And so finally, it had been in there for 2 months, and Alex and I got into some little argument, and I said, and what about that beer in the refrigerator? Can you just take it out? He's like, what beer in the refrigerator? He didn't even know it was in there, right? Because he could care less because it was one beer. But to me, as an alcoholic going through some shit, I thought about that, right? So, but I've said this a lot in videos, and I think this is important to understand, I'm an alcoholic. I'm somebody that loved to drink. I'm always going to be enticed by the idea of what does I talk about this. We're talking about this, I think, on the trip to Mexico. I've talked about this a lot in vlogs. The first drink that came out after I got sober that I really wondered what it tasted like was Mike's Hard Lemonade. And to this day, I'm still and whenever I say it in videos, people are they're really not that great. But I've always kind of wanted to know what's the Mike's, because I love lemonade. You know what I mean? Those are drinks that you had to I mean, it's very much a lot of alcoholism is about a kid in a candy store kind of thing. I'm not willing to drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade to find out what it tastes like when I can have a Crystal Light lemonade that'll just probably be very similar to that, except it won't give me the buzz, and a Mike's Hard Lemonade might end my life. So that's the difference today. But the other part of it is that I'm an alcoholic. Part of being an alcoholic is that I love to drink. I loved alcohol. It just didn't work for me anymore. I was getting in trouble. It was causing me a lot of consequences in my life. And what I mean it doesn't work for me anymore is that there was a long period of time where alcohol numbed my feelings and my emotions. It helped me escape from things. I didn't have to deal with anything. I could just drink and be like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Very, Scarlett O'Hara, kind of just, I'm not going to deal with this today. I'll just deal with it tomorrow and drink. But then what happened was the problems just kept on piling up on top of each other. And so it didn't become fun anymore, And I've talked about that recently with the giggle in the bottle and stuff like that, people say. So today, if I'm like really craving, like I want to get drunk, if I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like I want to get drunk today, right? Which I can't even think of the last time that I thought that, but let's just say if I'm thinking that, there is so much more that's going on. Like the first call needs to be my sponsor. The second call needs to be my therapist. Like I need to be doing some intensive work if I'm like in that state where like if I'm wanting to get drunk, it's not about the drink. In recovery, we learn, and at 29 and a half years, almost 30 years, like I know this, that drinking is but a symptom of our disease. So if I'm wanting to get drunk, there is so much more going on deeper inside of me. And I think this is really, really important for people to know. This is why I say, hey, do whatever works for you. But for this alcoholic and addict, just stopping drinking and drugging would not be enough. Because it is a complex system of what is going on inside of me. There are emotional holes that need to be filled, that alcohol and drugs filled, that when alcohol and drugs weren't filling them anymore, I had to do something to replace that. There are lifelong traumatic issues that have to be dealt with, and if I can't deal with them in a 12-step program, then I need to take them to therapy and deal with them, So there's a lot going on there that just stopping drinking and drugging is not going to cure that. Like, that's the stop filling of the hole, but after that, it's like, okay, what are you doing with that empty hole, right? So today, if I'm craving drinking, there's a lot more going on with me on a very deep emotional level. And that's where I really need to focus. If I'm really sitting here, I'm like, I want to get drunk, My friends, and I think that's different, I will say. Like, I've had friends of mine that have had long-term sobriety that, like, first they kind of stopped going to meetings. Or first they kind of stopped talking to their sponsor. Then they stopped going to meetings, which is a level of accountability on both parts, right? Stopped working steps. Then they kind of were like, and I'm just talking about my experience of working a 12-step program. I know there are other ways, and I respect any way to stay sober, but I'm just talking about people that I knew. Then what they would kind of do is they would kind of start saying, like, they would start kind of like bad-mouthing a lot of people in recovery. And I'm not saying that everybody in recovery is great, but it was kind of like blanket statements, right? And then they would like make excuses for certain things. And I have a friend of mine that had chronic pain. Didn't want to go, had 20 plus years of sobriety. Didn't want to go, and I'm trying to keep this just as kind of blanket statement as possible. Didn't want to, or wasn't at that time willing to say that they were, going to start taking pain pills regularly. Didn't want to do surgery. So Indiana's not a legal marijuana state, so started illegally buying marijuana for pain. Lied about that at first, then kind of got honest, but this is also, the meetings had gone, the sponsor had gone, all that kind of stuff. And we were worried, we were worried, like, what's going on here? Then the smoking the pot happened, and then we all kind of found out about it, and we were very worried. There was also, like, I've had this happen with several of my friends, where, like, you move into a new neighborhood, and it would be like, if I'm as friendly as I am with my neighbors, but, like, they don't know that I'm sober. And so then, like, if somebody says, why don't you come over for a beer or a glass of wine? At first you go, oh, I'll come over, but I don't want anything to drink. But you don't say I'm an alcoholic. And then, like, a month later, they're like, and nobody in the neighborhood knows you're an alcoholic. And then after a month or two, I've had that happen to numerous friends of mine. I know that sounds so silly, but it's a really kind of easy way to get back into it, because it's like one of the things I've thought about. Like, if we moved to San Diego or Florida or somewhere else, like, if I'm around a bunch of people that don't know I'm sober, and I don't tell them myself, and I'm like, I'm an alcoholic and an addict in recovery. If somebody's like, hey, you want to smoke a joint? Like, if I don't tell them, I could be like, yeah, sure, and then I'm off to the races. So this friend, anyway, it just was one thing after another. Just one thing after another, and in early sobriety, and by early sobriety I mean like under 5 years, I've known quite a few people that have, it's not about not going to meetings and it's not about all that. It's like one day, like they lose a job or something, you know, or they break up and they're just like, I don't know, the only other way I know to handle this is to get drunk or to use, and then they relapse like right away. But with most of the people that I know that have long-term sobriety, it happens over the course of time. So it's not just like it happens in one night. I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but it's usually people that have like stepped away slowly from their friends, this is why like when people ask me, they're like, do you not reach out to your friends? I'm like, we always reach out to the camera stopped. Tanya and I, all of our friends, I mean, we always reach out to our friends. It's them that stop reaching out to us because they don't want any connection to recovery anymore, because at that point they've kind of already made the decision to go back out. It makes me sad, you know. I can remember talking to my old sponsor and being like, I pray that this person comes back in, and he was like, you don't know that that's what God wants for them. He's like, you know, you're not God. You know, God might want for them to get sober through church or a MAT program, or God might not want them to get sober, you know. Maybe God will decide that they're not, you know, maybe they'll decide they're not an alcoholic or an addict. You know, that's not for you to decide. That really helped me a lot in realizing other people's journey through addiction is really none of my business until it affects me, and then I can set boundaries and limits. But with friends of mine that I care about, it's really, really hard, you know, because I know, like Tanya says this a lot, somebody has to feel enough pain before they're willing to, like, stop, right? Like, the way that I used to equate it would be, like, if it's, like, the balance, or the, what do you call it, is that called, not the balance, the scale? It's like the bad things have to outweigh the good things. Well, at the end, for me, I was having a lot of bad things, but I could excuse them, right? Because I was still having a good night once every 2 weeks. It was still emotionally working for me because all that bad stuff that was happening, I just drank and drug it away, and I was never thinking about it. One of the things that had to happen for me, which is why I'm such a believer in consequences and boundaries with addiction, is that my dad had to impose a lot of the consequences and the boundaries. So then that took away a lot of the good things, which is why I got pissed at my dad at first, because he was taking the last bit of giggle out of the bottle for me, right? Like, there was no, I mean, you know, it's one thing to be able to drink your emotions away when you're living in an apartment that you don't have to worry about how you're going to take care of. It's a different thing if you're going to be couch surfing and you have nowhere to go and nowhere to sleep and no way to get there and no money in your pocket and you're drinking your emotions away. That's called homeless. And that was my biggest fear, being homeless or being dead. So, today, and I, to be honest with you, I can't even remember I'll be honest with you, the last time, and I've talked about this a lot, that I really remember, like, consciously thinking about relapsing was during the 4 years that I didn't go to meetings, and it was towards the end of that. I would say it was like in the last year. And Alex went to a conference in Chicago for 2 nights. I've told this story a lot on here. And at that time, we were going out to a lot of clubs and getting, like, VIP service, and we would leave, and we were friends with all the promoters and stuff. So, like, if the place was promoted by, like, Absolute or Kettle One or Grey Goose or whatever, like, as we left, they would, like, hand Alex, because they knew I didn't drink, a huge bottle of, like, Grey Goose or something, right? And be like, here you go, here's what's left over, take it home. And so we had a lot of those bottles, and he would give them away as gifts. We don't have any of that in the house anymore. Like, I guess I didn't even, this is how clueless I am. I didn't even know. Like, when he said that to me today, like, all we have is a bottle of all I have is a bottle of champagne and wine. I didn't even know that, right? It was funny because I was looking on the counter the other day, because I'm stacking up these tea and coffee boxes, and Alex usually he had, like, some liqueur back over there that somebody gave him, coffee liqueur, but he doesn't drink that kind of stuff. He must have given that away, because it's not over there anymore. And then he had, like, a bottle of champagne over there, and it's not there anymore. So I don't know what happened to all of that. And Alex used to, like, in college and after college, he collected shot glasses. So in our cabinet, they were, like, all stacked up at one point. And I did ask him, that was when I got back going to meetings. I said, he was like, is there anything you need from me? And to be honest with you, I'm somebody that did shots, but I do shots straight out of the bottle. I didn't need a shot glass. I mean, of course I did do shot glasses. I played quarters all the time with my old roommate and I and stuff like that. But it wasn't like shot glasses would trigger me. But there was just something about the collection of it. It was kind of like the dedication of it. And I was like, I was kind of scared to ask him. I don't know why. This was like when I first came back going into meetings, and I said, would you mind taking those shot glasses and like boxing them up or something? He's like, yeah, I don't even know where they're at. They're somewhere in the basement or the garage or something like that. I don't know. But yeah. So today, if I'm, so anyway, okay, so that was the trip he went to Chicago. And I can remember, like, he had called me, like, it was like he was gone like a Friday and a Saturday night, coming home on a Sunday. And he had called me like that Friday night and was like, okay, we're going to bed because we got to get up early tomorrow. And maybe it was during the week. Maybe it was like a Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember. But anyways, the first night. And he called me early. It was like 9 or 10. He was like, or early for me. And he was like, I'm going to bed. Just wanted to say goodnight, blah, blah, blah. I'm shutting my phone off and all this kind of stuff. And I remember I went to the refrigerator and I was getting like a Coke or Diet Coke and putting on ice and whatever. And I opened the freezer and I saw like this bottle of Grey Goose in there. And it was like unopened. It was like one of these promoters had given us. And, I mean, it immediately went through me like this quick. I was like, okay, you could turn off your phone, you know, and then you could just lock yourself in the house, drink this bottle of Grey Goose tonight, never tell Alex. And this was when our marriage was bad. I emotionally was like, this is during the 4 years of me not going to meetings. And I was like, and then tomorrow you could like take it to the gas station, throw it away, and then you could go to the liquor store, buy a new bottle. I mean, I went through this. Like, I thought it through. And then, you know, put it in the freezer and whatever. And I was like, I think either that night or the very next day, I called my sponsor. And I was just like, because I'm a believer in telling on yourself, you know, when you're going through stuff like that. And so, hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
How's the pool?
Great.
Is everybody left?
What?
Is everybody left, or is there still a bunch of people up there?
There's still a bunch of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
I wanted the pool to be empty when we went up there. So that was like really, to me, the last time, and I feel like I need to look up the exact date, because I think it's like 11 or 12 years that I've been back going to meetings. Maybe longer than that, I don't know. But Alex and I got together. Being together, it'll be 13 years in January. So that was, I think, the last time that I've like consciously thought it through. And I don't remember thinking to myself like, bad Peter, bad Peter. I can remember just being like, where did that come from? I think that was really the first kind of like insight to me. And I think that was like September, October. And then I didn't go back to meetings until like January. That was that last year. But that was like the first thing to me where like you're really like, something's not right with you, right? Like you're like, something's way off with you. I think I was really scared though. Like, I remember because I wasn't working that closely with my sponsor at that time. I don't even really, I remember talking to my sponsor about it because it's my sponsor that passed away. But he and I would only talk like once a month. I don't feel like I called him that night. I feel like I called him like, it was like a day or two later. I was real embarrassed and ashamed to even tell him. And I can remember he just like really, I don't even remember how that conversation, I mean, it's been so long now. And that would have been like 13 years ago right now. Yeah. But that was like the last time that I ever really like consciously like thought through like a drink. Like, I'm gonna get drunk. And it was like for emotional reasons. It's so funny because like, even in meetings and stuff like that, people don't like a lot of times say like, you know, like I miss drinking or whatever because like they don't want to like for the newcomer and whatever. And or they feel like it like is like bad alcoholic or whatever, you know. Tanya, I think she's the one that normalized it for me, you know. She's like, I love to drink. I'm an alcoholic. I loved to drink. It just didn't work for me, and it didn't make me happy anymore, you know. She's like, but sure, if I could drink today and not have the problems, I would drink, you know. But that's the difference between somebody that's an alcoholic and somebody that's not. And I think Tanya really normalized that for me. It's like, I'll tell you what's really weird, okay, is that when I watch stuff, is that First of all, I hated the smell of it, okay? I hated the smell of pot. I was not good at rolling joints, or we didn't even smoke blunts. That was before blunts. I think I smoked like a Primo, like once or twice, but that was like a joint, I remember. It wasn't even a blunt. It was like, you know, whatever, with cocaine on it. But I had a one hitter. I had a, you know, I had it all, you know. But I hated the smell of it, but I loved being high. And I smoked pot all day, every day. What's weird is, I don't ever like, I always kind of wonder, like, what do edibles taste like and stuff like that when people talk about them. But I don't really, like, that doesn't, like, sound good to me. Like, I don't think, like, oh, I want to take an edible or anything like that. But when I watch shows, okay, like I was watching this show last night, The Deliverance, and Andra Day, that singer, first of all, she's incredible in this movie. There's a part where she's sitting out on her back porch and she's smoking a joint. Whenever I see somebody smoking a joint just like that, like in a bathtub or like sitting on a back porch, like that's how I smoked joints. Like that for me, like it's really, really hard. I have, like, if to be honest with you, you talk about craving, I probably crave smoking joints more in the last 29 years than I ever have drinking. Because I didn't really suffer any consequences from smoking pot. You know, it didn't cost me a lot of money. I dealt it here and there. I was a horrible dealer of it because I smoked everything that I had. But I loved smoking pot. I loved it, you know? But I don't, like, if I start smoking pot tomorrow, and I know that there's addicts and alcoholics that can do this, and it works for them, and they're not in 12-step programs. First of all, 12-step programs promote 100% abstinence. So it wouldn't work for me to get high and stay in a 12-step program. But let's just say if I wasn't. I know that there's people that stop doing some things and just smoke pot, and it works for them, and more power to them. For me, the reason why it wouldn't work is because I would literally sit on this front porch all day long and I'd be stoned Betty. Okay? I'd just be like, ooh, girl, what's up? Hi, it's good to see. I mean, I'd be kind of like how I am, but just high, you know? High as the Georgia pines. I loved it. I loved being high. That's the truth. I loved it. I loved being high. Bugs hanging around my ears. Now I'm thinking of that movie from last night. But I loved it. And I think it's more expensive now. I don't know. I got a lot of funny stories about that. I got an Amazon package right before I came out here. I keep on kicking it. But as far as like alcohol, or as far as Alex and like the drinking, like people ask me things like, does it bother you when he has alcohol on his breath and things like that? It really, in the past it did a little bit. It doesn't really, because my ex didn't drink at all. Like when we met, he kind of stopped drinking. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, what hurt about that, okay, was that my first boyfriend, out of the three that I've had since I got sober, and then, you know, obviously third one's my husband, Alex, but my first boyfriend, he drank. And, I mean, like, I was, like, a year sober when I met him, and we dated for, like, 4.5, 5 years. When we got together, and we lived together, and we would travel, and he would drink, and stuff like that, it didn't really bother me, which is weird, because, and I even remember him being kind of pretty drunk sometimes, you know, but, like, a lot of it, we were, like, going out with my roommate. My roommate, when I got sober, she was, like, my big drinking partner. She didn't get sober, but she really, like, her drinking slowed down, like, and, like, became obsolete for several years. My ex, before Alex, he, like, when he found out I was sober, he didn't drink at all. At all. Like, we would go to a bar, he'd always have a Coke. But, like, the second we broke up, he started drinking again. And I'd see pictures of him at, like, concerts and stuff like that, and he was just wasted. And I did not know that. I did not know that person. That was hard for me because, I mean, it was nice that he didn't drink for me, but I was like, did you want to drink all this time? Like, I would have rather had you just been honest with me. Alex definitely drank more at the beginning of our relationship than he does now. Today, well, always, because we had these discussions really early on, and I think that was important, that I explained a lot to Alex about my sobriety. I mean, he knows, he's, you know, has read the books, the text, knows all my sober friends, knows my sponsor, and texts my sponsor and stuff like, I mean, they're friends too. And so, he would be like, early on, he would, like, ask me, like, do you care if this, do you care if that? It's weird, like when we go out to dinner sometimes now, like, it kind of depends on the restaurant and the occasion. Like, I don't know. I can't even make sense of it, to be honest with you. Like, sometimes they'll get a drink and sometimes he won't. There's, like, no rhyme or reason to it. We haven't had it, like, back in the day, he would say, like, do you care if I get a bottle of wine tonight and have some wine while I'm watching TV? And I'd be like, no, babe, I don't care at all. You know, if I did care, I'd say I cared, and he wouldn't, you know, have a bottle of wine that night. I don't even remember the last time that he asked me to do that. I don't even remember. I'll be honest with you, he gets cases of Coke now. He sits in there and he'll have, like, 2 or 3 Cokes in a row. He can chug a Coke like nobody's business. But I don't remember the last time that he, like, it's usually, like, on a Friday or Saturday night when he's had, like, a long week. And it's been, like, months since he's done that. Where he, like, got a bottle of, like, I mean, I know that he drinks, not a Merlot, a Malbec is what he drinks. And he'll, like, get a bottle of, like, it's like a red wine. And he'll, like, get a bottle of it. And then he'll drink a couple glasses while he's watching TV. But I don't remember. But if we're watching a TV show together, he won't do that. It's like if he's watching a TV show on his own. I don't remember the last time he's even done that. It's been, like, months. But it's interesting, like, I mean, I have friends of mine whose, like, wives have been in Al-Anon for 25, 30 years, or even longer than that, because they've been sober than that, and they drink pretty regularly. Like, I mean, even when they, like, go out with their, like, Al-Anon friends and stuff like that, like, you know, I'll see pictures of them, like, sharing, like, you know, margaritas and champagne and stuff like that. So, I think it's, like, there's this, like, misconception that because somebody's sober, like, nobody can drink around them. And maybe that's how some people do. I mean, I know that there's, like, so at one point in recovery, I was very enticed by this group, which is in recovery, that is called Under Any and All Conditions, I think it's called, or something like that. It's like a line from the book. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, basically what it is, and I loved it, because I would meet these people, it's mostly men, and they would say how many days they've been sober, their sobriety date, and they say, I don't drink alcohol or do drugs under any and all conditions. And I loved them, and they were like Puritan, right? And they're kind of like a segment of a 12-step program that not everybody agrees with. And I don't really know how I feel about it, if you want to know the truth, but they have, like, their own special meetings, and I don't go to those meetings, but I'll just say that. But I do have some friends of mine that go to some of those meetings. But I can remember talking to my sponsor at the time. This is my sponsor that passed away. And I can remember talking to him and being like, yeah, I'm thinking about going to any and all conditions meetings. And he goes, so you don't drink for under any and all conditions? I was like, no. And he's like, and you know that you're not going to drink under any and all conditions for the rest of your life? You know that for a fact, right? And I go, what? And he goes, you can say for a fact that you know. He goes, I'm just saying, I don't, is their success rate good? He was like, you know, we believe that we're, like, you know, we either believe that we're recovered from this addiction or that we're in recovery. He was like, you and I both believe that we're in recovery, that every day is, you know, we have daily exemption from addiction. He was like, this is dangerous for me. This, like, worries me for you. And this is just one opinion out there, right? But I can remember that was, like, that Puritanism was, like, really attractive to me about, like, all of that. So, yeah, they're very rigorous. But anyway, other than them, like, I would say, I mean, I think this is the other thing, too. Like, if I was talking to somebody that was, like, 2 to 5 years sober, my recommendation might be different. At 2 to 5 years sober, no, I absolutely 100% did not have alcohol in my house. Even my first boyfriend that drank, like, he would drink if we went out to a club or if we were on vacation, but would never have alcohol in the house, period. Like, I didn't feel comfortable with it. At that point, it was still so hand-to-mouth for me. I don't know that at that point I could have conceptualized or communicated to you that me drinking was about deeper issues. I mean, maybe at 2 to 3 years I got that, but I don't know that, like, my first year or two I got that, right? It was very hand-to-mouth to me. So somebody in early sobriety today, I mean, I didn't go out really for, like, a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, until I started regularly going out again. And I did what I was recommended to do. I, like, was resistant to it. I fought it, but I did it, you know? So somebody in early sobriety, I would say, no, I wouldn't have alcohol in your home. Like, I wouldn't if it were me, because that would be tempting to me. I'm 29 and a half years sober. I mean, I have been sober more than half of my life at this point, right? So this is such an ingrained thing for me. You know, we're taught that that we will, you know, repel from alcohol like we will from a hot flame. And that has been how I have felt in my life. That's how I've been, you know, when I've, like, come close to alcohol or whatever. I'm not scared of it. If I were scared of it, it would be a different situation. I also think it's a very personal decision. Like I said, I have friends of mine that have been sober 40 years and their spouses, I mean, like, you go in their basement and they have a full bar. I would not have a full bar in my house just because I wouldn't want that. That's not what I would want to represent. It's, and I don't know, maybe what's the difference between a bottle of wine and a full bar? I don't know, you know, maybe there is no difference. But for me, that's just not what I would want to have. But I don't ever, like, go to their houses and think anything about it. I don't know, I never have, you know? I think it's something that, like, I've never really had anybody in recovery even say anything about it. I think it's almost kind of like an out of recovery thing. Not about the, like, does it bother you if Alex has alcohol in the house or if he drinks or whatever. I think those are normal questions that I would be surprised. I usually, when I get questions like that, I feel like it's people are asking me those questions for themselves. Like, they're trying to maneuver situations in their own life. You know, I said the other day about being in recovery that one of the things that helped me was when I go to people's houses and they have other, you know, options, like, special for me. The other thing I would say is in early sobriety, like 2 to 5 years, if you're with somebody that's an alcoholic or an addict in early recovery, I would say to them when you go out, like, if you really are pressed to have a drink, I'd be like, do you care if I have a drink? And let them be honest with you. And then it's their responsibility to say yes or no, you know? I would also say that if you're going out to dinner with somebody that's in early sobriety, to me today, it doesn't bother me at all. If I go out with a friend and a friend of mine, but most of my friends that I go out to dinner with, like, they don't drink anyway, you know? Even my friends that, like, Valerie might have, like, a margarita every 6 months. She's not sober. That's just, you know, Melissa just doesn't drink by choice. So most of my friends today, well, Caroline, I mean, she drinks. I think we know that, you know? But if, like, Caroline and I went out to dinner, she wouldn't have a glass of wine, you know? I just think it's like, meet somebody where you're at that moment. Like, if you really are that pressed to have a drink when you go out to dinner with your friend that's in recovery, then maybe question your own substance abuse issues is, I don't know what I would say about it. But for me, it's about deeper stuff going on there, you know? And I think that's kind of the message that I think is important, is that it's not just about the alcohol bottle sitting there. It's about what it does to us, the cravings, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope that answers the question a little bit. But Alex and I have always, like, from day one, like, I've made it very, very clear, I have to have open conversations with you about alcoholism, and he's been completely open to that. I wouldn't be in a relationship where I couldn't, if that makes sense. And in fact, in all 3 relationships I've had since I've been sober, I've been very honest. I go to the doctor, I'm very honest. I go to the dentist, I'm very honest. To my pharmacist, I'm very honest. I mean, everybody in my life, my neighbors, everybody knows that I'm sober because everybody online, I mean, like, that was a decision that before I got online, I was going to talk about my sobriety. I don't hide from it. When I've known people that have tried to hide from their sobriety is when it becomes a problem. Like I was talking about the neighborhood, moving into a new neighborhood, and your neighbors don't know that you're sober. It's not their fault that they ask you over for a beer or a glass of wine, but that might sound good one day, you know, and you might be having a really shitty day, and you and your husband got into a fight, and so you want to run over there and have a beer. They don't know you're sober, and then it's off to the races, and you can hide out in your neighborhood. That's where I have to be careful about that stuff. That's why it's important for me to live out loud as an alcoholic and addict in recovery. So, anyway, okay, so last night, if you guys have more questions about, you guys know I love talking about addiction and recovery. I can talk about it all day long. But last night after I watched Sister Wives, I watched The Deliverance, okay, which is with Andra Day. She's fantastic in this movie. So good. I loved her music. I don't know that I've seen her as an actress in anything. This can't be the first role she's in, but she is so good in this. And her mother is played by Glenn Close, and their family social service, like division of child services, is played by Monique, the actress in Precious. The movie is directed by Lee Daniels, who did Precious. And it's about this woman who everybody thinks is abusing her kids, but it's actually about demonic possession. What I didn't know when I was watching this, like, I had, like, looked it up on video, and it said something about based on a true story, and I didn't really know, but I started looking into it more as I was watching the movie. First of all, I like paused it to look this up because the movie, it is such a slow burn, but so worth it. Like the first hour of it has nothing to do with the demonic possession. It's just the building of the story. It is so good. Somebody texted me or messaged me and said they thought the ending was silly. I thought the ending was fantastic. I thought the movie was good. I thought it was really, really well done. Especially from somebody that doesn't do horror movies like Lee Daniels. I thought it was really well done and I don't know, conceptualized in any way. But I looked it up. What I did not know is that it's based on the story of LaToya Ammons and her family that are from Gary, Indiana. Okay, they now live in Indianapolis. So, but it's the demon house that Zach Bagans bought and then demolished, except for the staircase. And I think the staircase was at the Zach Bagans Museum when I went there. I'm almost positive it was, because I remember it, and people talking about the documentary is so scary and all this kind of stuff. So when I finished the movie last night, I went in and I watched interviews of LaToya Ammons, anyway, and her mom, who was the family that this happened to. And then I went in and I watched Demon House, which is on Tubi if you want to watch it. And it's the actual house that the story is based on. So the movie, The Deliverance, is fictionalized. It's based briefly on the original story. Lee Daniels didn't even really want to meet with LaToya Ammons. I think she sold the rights to the movie, she and her mother. But he didn't really want to meet with her because he wanted to fictionalize it. He didn't want to make it like a true account of her. And it's not. Like, a lot of different things happen in the movie than happen. The movie is so well done. It is... I mean, it's about relationships. It's so, so, so good. I was just blown away. But then I watched the interviews. And the interviews are interesting because from the news at that time, like, nobody believes her. And, like, they even question, like, this priest and stuff and all this kind of stuff. And then I watched the Demon House documentary. It's bad. I forget that Zach Bagans is not, like, one of my favorites paranormal. I mean, I like his whole idea and all that kind of stuff, but, like, everything's, like, related to that, you know? What is interesting, though, is, like, while I'm watching that, I did say a few prayers and stuff like that, but what he talks a lot about in the documentary is how sick they keep on getting. Like, all these people get sick that go to the house. Do you guys remember when, before we ever went to Fox Hollow Farms, the Herb Baumeister house for the paranormal investigation, when we drove, Melissa and I drove, or I think I drove up there first, into the area where you turn into it, and I got sick like 3 days after that, which is why I bought like sage spray that, I can't remember what it's called, the sage spray, and then like the black onyx, or whatever, black omulene, or I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it's the thing that's supposed to ward off against evil spirits. Okay, when we were at that house, I think I've told you guys this, there's like a cross scratched into that thing now, from when I was there, that I noticed like after it. Anyway, I can't remember what that it's like a black thing, but I got all that stuff and wore my cross and my St. Christopher medal and stuff like that. That whole experience was freaky, but I got so sick like the first time I went out there and drove by there and showed it in a video. So he's talking about all this kind of stuff. I totally believe in that stuff. But anyway, I would highly, highly recommend that movie. The movie was really, really good. I really liked it. I actually told Alex, I said, you haven't watched him in a while, but I think you would like this movie. It's like a demonic possession movie. He's like, okay, well, maybe I'll watch it. But he's like, I don't think I'm going to be that interested in it. He's in this Spanish TV show now. He's probably upstairs asleep with B. Radley right now. After his big shopping excursion at Abercrombie, where he literally bought 2 sweatshirts and a t-shirt that he already has and I already have. Abercrombie's so funny because, well, I didn't buy anything today, but everything that I bought is like, I have to buy some stuff from there because my Jimi Hendrix t-shirt was stolen, and I looked and they have a Willie Nelson t-shirt there now, and they also have a Smashing Pumpkins t-shirt, so I think I'm going to order those online. But everything that I ordered in an extra large, and it's all huge on me. So, like, what's so weird about that is Abercrombie back in the day, like when I was like in my 20s, it was like their extra large was literally like an extra small. Now their extra large is like a 3XL because they have everything baggy there. So, but anyway, I kind of came out on this vlog and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about today. How am I going to make it? And then look, I'm almost at an hour because I was talking about sobriety so much. So thank you for asking that question. I love talking about sobriety. I love talking about recovery. And you know, I think the thing I always want to say is that this is just my experience. I'm just one experience. I'm just one story. I'm not the end-all word on it. I'm just one person in recovery in a 12-step program. There's millions of other stories out there. I'm not any kind of authority on it or whatever, you know? So, but thank you for asking me that. Everybody does it a different way that works for them. You know, there's certain things that we follow, certain things that we believe, but by and large, we all have different stories and we all do it a different way, but we're none of us unique because we're all bound by the addiction. So anyway, all right, well, I'm going to get off here now and go to the pool with my neighbor and relax a little bit tonight. And I hope that you guys are having a... Oh my God, is it the first day of September? Is it today's the first day of September? Oh my God, it's September. Happy September 1st. So we've made it through April, May, June, July, August. 5 months of consistent vlogging. Let's see if we can do it in September too. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Sunday. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. I hope that you're getting refreshed, renewed, rejuvenated, and relaxed for the week ahead. I hope that you have a fantastic Sunday. It's my favorite day of the week. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a good holiday tomorrow if you're off. If you're not and you're working, I hope you get to relax some. And if you're out of the United States and you don't celebrate the holiday, then have a great Monday. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.